Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to DiscussionVerse, and horror fans, what a year this has been. 2025 has continued the streak of horror making its comeback, and it has been absolutely stacked with some of the most daring, emotional, and inventive horror films we've seen in a long time. This was definitely a year where horror felt alive again by being creative, bold, and meaningful. So today, I am breaking down the top horror movies of 2025, the ones that hit the hardest, scared the smartest, and proved that horror can still surprise us. Though before I get into this is your friendly reminder to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and hit that subscribe button as I am on the road to 1,000 subscribers and your support means everything. With that out of the way, let's get right into it. We are starting off with Bringing Her Back, and this one hits like a gut punch. A24 once again proves they know how to blend raw emotion with existential horror. This isn't your typical supernatural story. The film is about grief, identity, and the horrifying space between grief and obsession. The direction is haunting with quiet takes, a subdued color palette, and a score that practically seeps into your bones. It's horror through heartbreak and fear through absence, and it might just be one of the best horror films of 2025. Next up, we have Weapons, which is written and directed by Zach Cregger, and after Barbarian, the expectations were sky high, and he definitely didn't play it safe, which actually benefited him in the long run. It proves that he is not just a one-hit wonder, and this film is a fragmented, uncomfortable, and purposely disorienting horror film. It's a bold piece of social horror about cycles of violence and the lasting effects of trauma. It's a horror that's less about monsters and more about us and how we create the conditions for horror to thrive. Cregger flexes serious ambition here, both visually and structurally, and even if it splits audiences, it absolutely cements him as one of the most daring voices in modern horror. Then we have Black Phone 2, and honestly, this is how you do a sequel. Scott Derrickson doesn't just copy-paste the first film, he evolves it completely. Where the original focused on fear and survival, the sequel digs into aftermath and legacy. The scares are still there, but what lingers is the emotion. Ethan Hawke's Rabber remains a terrifying presence, but the story belongs to those left behind. It's a film about reclaiming power, confronting trauma, and finding closure in the darkest of places, and it works beautifully. I'd argue that it's one of the more surprising horror films of 2025 so far. From there, we can't forget about Sinners, which was written and directed by Ryan Coogler. This is easily one of the most powerful and layered horror films of the decade. Set in the 1930s Deep South, Sinners uses vampirism as both a literal and metaphorical lens, because it's a story about a black community in Mississippi navigating racism, poverty, and the seductive promise of escape. But that escape comes through vampires. It's a chilling metaphor for cultural appropriation and assimilation. Coogler crafts a masterpiece depicting minority life under oppression, showing that sometimes these characters have a better chance against monsters than the system built to keep them down. It's truly a horror done as social commentary, but with elegance, empathy, and absolutely stunning visuals. I mean, the juke joint sequences, they're absolutely electric, and the score is infused with a lot of blues, which is just perfect. And the way that it weaves history, identity, and myth, it's timely, tragic, and unforgettable. Next up, we have 28 Years Later, the long-awaited reunion of Danny Boyle and Alex Garland. And yeah, it absolutely still lives up to the hype. The film isn't just another zombie retread, it's a story about endurance, about what remains when society has been surviving in fear for nearly 3 decades. The focus does shift onto a new generation of survivors who've only ever known this world, and the strongest aspect lies in the scale and scope of this movie. Boyle and Garland use the massive set pieces and story to their advantage to explore what fear does to people long after the panic ends. The film is thrilling, relentless, and quietly tragic. The world of 28 Years Later feels lived in, broken, and the isolationism adds a whole new layer to this franchise. And lastly, we have Together. This movie is a slow, creepy nightmare that proves you don't need spectacle to get under someone's skin. And yes, that's pun intended. It's a minimalist, psychological horror about two people trapped in a collapsing relationship, and the more they try to hold on to each other, the more reality starts to distort. It's tense, intimate, and deeply unsettling. There's no creature, no curse, just the horror of being seen too clearly and realizing you can't hide from the person who knows you best. There's definitely some hints of some sort of cosmic horror to this, but ultimately it's patient, poetic, and devastating with its focus on the collapsing relationship and body horror, making it a modern masterclass in psychological thread. And before I wrap this up, I do have to give some love to a few films that nearly made the main list. The first one that comes up is Companion, which is a moody, slow burn sci-fi horror that blends emotional introspection with haunting visuals. Think Ex Machina meets Megan. It's about domestic and psychological abuse, with the central theme is that of an abusive relationship, with Iris serving as a stand-in for anyone, particularly a woman who is a victim of psychological abuse, controlling behavior, and gaslighting. It really is presented as a cautionary cautionary tale about the horror of toxic relationships as well as toxic masculinity. It's easily a solid horror film, and it's one that you guys should definitely add to your list if you haven't already. Next up, there is Final Destination Bloodlines, which is unexpectedly a sharp revival that modernizes the franchise formula. And even though I was kind of a naysayer on this, it really is a slick, self-aware, and it finds new ways to make death itself terrifying again. The kills are inventive and fun, and it balances dread with dark humor perfectly. And lastly, there is Good Boy, which is a horror film told entirely from the perspective of a dog, and this one turns loyalty and protection into existential horror. The film focuses on human behavior and fear, but through a dog's eyes, which is surprisingly emotional and deeply unsettling. The film itself is bold, experimental, and it's destined for cult status. It is a great horror film with a deeply resonant emotional weight to it, as the film is pretty unique in using the entity as a metaphor or manifestation of the owner's terminal illness or a supernatural force that is symbolizing death. Overall though, it really is one of the more standout horror films of this year. Though with that in mind, that does wrap up this video and my thoughts on the best horror films of 2025. And of course, one more friendly reminder that if you are enjoying these breakdowns and want to continue to see more DiscussionVerse videos, then you have to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and of course drop a comment down below. I am pushing towards the 1,000 subscriber milestone, and your support really helps these videos reach more fans just like you. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.